Hey guys, welcome back to Enlighten Ed. The Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands, has a history as rich and diverse as its geography. Long before Western powers, the islands were home to a vibrant civilization. Around 3000 BCE, Austronesian-speaking peoples arrived from Southeast Asia. They established settlements along coastal areas and river systems. These early Filipinos were adept at agriculture and craftsmanship. Trade flourished, spreading culture, goods, and ideas. Complex social structures were governed by datus or rajas. Centuries passed, witnessing the rise and fall of various kingdoms and sultanates. Trade brought contact with other cultures, notably Arab traders in the 14th century. They introduced Islam to the southern islands, influencing local customs and beliefs. By the 16th century, powerful sultanates had emerged in Mindanao. Meanwhile, European powers were charting new routes across the globe. In 1521, Ferdinand Magellan landed on Homonhon. Magellan's arrival marked the first recorded European contact with the archipelago. He was killed in battle against Lapu-Lapu on Mactan. Magellan's voyage opened the door for further Spanish expeditions. In 1565, Miguel López de Legazpi established the first permanent Spanish settlement in Cebu. This began Spanish colonial rule, reshaping the archipelago's destiny. The Spanish colonial project aimed for the complete transformation of Filipino society. Central to this was the propagation of Christianity. Friars from different orders led a widespread campaign of conversion. They established churches, schools, and hospitals. The encomienda system led to widespread exploitation and abuse. Despite challenges, Filipino culture proved resilient. Pre-colonial traditions blended with Spanish influences, creating unique cultural expressions. By the 19th century, a growing sense of national consciousness began to emerge among Filipinos. Inspired by Enlightenment ideals and fueled by resentment against Spanish oppression, a movement for reform began to take shape. Educated Filipinos, known as ilustrados, advocated for greater autonomy, representation in the Spanish Cortes, and equality between Spaniards and Filipinos. Among these ilustrados were figures like José Rizal, a writer, physician, and nationalist, whose novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo exposed the injustices and hypocrisy of Spanish colonial rule. Rizal's writings, though advocating for peaceful reform, ignited the spirit of nationalism among Filipinos. Another key figure was Andrés Bonifacio, a revolutionary leader from the lower classes, who believed that armed struggle was the only path to independence. Bonifacio founded the Katipunan, a secret revolutionary society, which sought to overthrow Spanish rule through force. The Katipunan's emergence marked a turning point, as Filipinos began to actively fight for their freedom. In 1896, the Philippine Revolution erupted, fueled by the Katipunan's call to arms. Bonifacio's forces engaged Spanish troops in fierce battles across Luzon. However, internal divisions within the Katipunan and Bonifacio's execution weakened the movement. Despite setbacks, the revolution continued, culminating in the Declaration of Philippine Independence on June 12, 1898. This historic event marked the unfurling of the Philippine flag. However, the Spanish-American War drew the United States into the conflict. With the Treaty of Paris, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States, beginning a new chapter in Philippine history. The American administration in the Philippines began with promises of democracy and education. The Americans implemented various reforms, including the establishment of a public school system, the introduction of American-style governance, and the development of infrastructure. However, this period also saw the suppression of Filipino resistance to American rule, which lasted for several years. The United States granted the Philippines a degree of autonomy in 1935 with the establishment of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. This period saw significant progress in terms of self-governance and nation-building, with Filipinos taking on greater responsibility in running their own affairs. However, the shadow of war loomed large as tensions escalated in the Pacific. In 1941, Japan, embroiled in World War II, invaded the Philippines, aiming to control strategic resources and access to Southeast Asia. The Japanese occupation, marked by brutality and oppression, plunged the archipelago into darkness. Filipino and American forces, under General Douglas MacArthur, fought valiantly but were eventually forced to surrender. The Bataan Death March, a horrific testament to Japanese cruelty, saw thousands of Filipino and American prisoners of war perish. Despite the hardships endured under Japanese occupation, the Filipino spirit of resistance never waned. Guerrilla movements, operating throughout the archipelago, harassed Japanese forces and provided vital intelligence to the Allies. As World War II drew to a close, American forces, led by General MacArthur, returned to the Philippines, fulfilling his promise to return. The liberation of the Philippines from Japanese occupation came at a heavy cost. Cities and towns lay in ruins, the economy was devastated, and countless lives were lost. However, amidst the destruction, a sense of hope and determination prevailed. On July 4, 1946, the Philippines finally achieved full independence as promised by the United States. This historic event marked the culmination of centuries of struggle for freedom. The newly independent nation faced daunting challenges, including rebuilding its shattered infrastructure, healing the wounds of war, and forging a new national identity after centuries of colonial rule. Section 8. The Price of Progress. The post-independence era in the Philippines was marked by both progress and turmoil. The country made strides in economic development, industrialization, and education. However, this period also saw the rise of social unrest, political instability, and corruption. The gap between the rich and poor widened, leading to widespread poverty and discontent among the masses. In 1965, Ferdinand Marcos, a charismatic politician, was elected president. Marcos's early years in office saw some economic progress and infrastructure development. However, his administration was also marred by allegations of corruption, cronyism, and human rights abuses. As Marcos consolidated his power, he became increasingly authoritarian, suppressing dissent and curtailing civil liberties. In 1972, Marcos declared martial law, citing threats from communist insurgents and Muslim separatists. This declaration ushered in a dark chapter in Philippine history, characterized by widespread human rights violations, media censorship, and the suppression of political opposition. Section 9. People Power. The Marcos regime's grip on power, maintained through fear and repression, began to weaken in the 1980s. The assassination of Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr., a prominent opposition leader and Marcos's chief political rival, in 1983, galvanized opposition to the regime. Aquino's widow, Corazon Aquino, emerged as a symbol of resistance, uniting a broad coalition of Filipinos from all walks of life. In 1986, snap presidential elections were held, with Marcos facing off against Corazon Aquino. The elections were marred by widespread fraud and violence, but the results, showing a Marcos victory, were met with outrage and disbelief. Millions of Filipinos took to the streets in peaceful protest, demanding Marcos's resignation. This historic event, known as the People Power Revolution, demonstrated the Filipino people's unwavering commitment to democracy and their courage in standing up to tyranny. The revolution culminated in Marcos's ouster and the installation of Corazon Aquino as president. Section 10. Island Dreams. The People Power Revolution restored democracy to the Philippines and ushered in an era of hope and renewal. Corazon Aquino's presidency focused on rebuilding democratic institutions, promoting human rights, and addressing the country's economic woes. However, her administration also faced numerous challenges, including coup attempts, natural disasters, and persistent poverty. The succeeding years saw the Philippines grapple with issues of corruption, poverty, inequality, and armed conflict in certain regions. The country also faced the challenges of globalization, climate change, and rapid technological advancements. Despite these hurdles, the Filipino people demonstrated resilience, creativity, and an unwavering spirit in facing adversity. The Philippines has emerged as a vibrant democracy in Southeast Asia, with a growing economy and a thriving cultural scene. The country continues to grapple with its past while striving to create a brighter future for its people. Section 11. Resilience and Renewal. The story of the Philippines is one of resilience, transformation, and the enduring spirit of its people. From the early Austronesian settlers to the modern-day republic, Filipinos have navigated complex historical currents, leaving an indelible mark on their archipelago and beyond. The nation's journey has been shaped by both internal and external forces, from colonial encounters to revolutions, from periods of progress to times of hardship. Throughout it all, the Filipino people have demonstrated remarkable resilience, preserving their cultural identity, their strong family values, and their unwavering faith. This resilience, this ability to rise above challenges and emerge stronger, is deeply ingrained in the Filipino psyche. It is this spirit that allows them to face the future with hope and optimism. The Philippines today stands at a crossroads, facing both opportunities and challenges. Its rich history serves as both a reminder of past struggles and a source of inspiration for the future. As the nation navigates the complexities of the 21st century, the enduring spirit of the Filipino people will undoubtedly continue to shape its destiny. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.